I'll get that.
We'll just clear that right now.
Oh,
Okay, Mr. Chair, you are live.
all right, we're gonna call the meeting to order. This is the Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission regular board meeting here for February the 26th, 2026. Everybody is here, I guess, tonight. Every municipality representative is here tonight. Okay, conflict of interest. This is your opportunity to declare a conflict of interest tonight. If there's none, we'll move ahead. I need a motion to adopt the agenda for tonight.
Also move.
It's Ken and then seconded by Jim. Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passed. Adoption of the minutes of the board meeting for January the 22nd, 2025. Denny's gonna make that.
I'll second.
Ken? Question or comment on that motion? Those in favor of adopting the minutes of January the 22nd, signify by saying aye. Contrary, that's passed. Right. This is arising from previous meetings, update on community wildfire resiliency plan.
So the consultants are still working on it, but I did have a meeting with them recently, and there's a slight change in what the outcome is going to be. And so what they're going to end up presenting or giving to us is an individual plan for each local government, like the full plan. And then, so I have a master document with each one of those, but that means that each community is going to have a full version of that plan, start to finish, including all the methodology and stuff like that, that they would normally not repeat. So everybody will get a copy of that. That's really the only update. Everything else is still on track, and we should be seeing that some results from that in the next month or two.
Any questions or comments on that? Nothing. Okay. Update on the airport study.
So no, I have that there as kind of a placeholder so we don't forget it, and it's something that's still ongoing. But I had one meeting with the consultants. It's not a lot of movement there, but I will keep you updated. We're not off track. It's just they're still performing. They're still putting it together.
Questions or comments? New business? Yes. Staff report, solid waste.
So under solid waste, nothing really big to report there, except that we are installing a new well, and this is the new design that we came up with, the diagonal along the slope. We'll have that connected in the spring and summer, so that should increase our gas flow a little bit. And then later on, after you guys have done all your election stuff, we have a board back. We got to start talking about what we're actually doing with the gas. Right now, we're flaring it, and the flare does run pretty well constant. We are able to capture quite a bit of gas and flare it and destroy it, which is the point. But we might start setting up for doing something more productive with it.
How many cubic feet or BTUs of the flame? What, just give me an idea of what we're talking.
I can get that for you. I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Curious. Value.
I think he said we're pulling around 150 CFM. Fairly steady. And it can go up and down, or it can go up from that. Like there's some spikes, but like it's a vacuum. Like we actually put a little vacuum on those lines to draw out gas. And I think, don't quote me, but I think it's around 150 CFM. About 50% of that's methane, 50% is random whatever's in the landfill producing gas.
Okay, local and regional planning.
Your report is in your package, and as per request from last month's meeting, we broke out each community in terms of building permit numbers, development subdivision approvals, and construction dollars. So you can see that, and then we have a total at the end. So this is just a change of reporting, but you can all see the totals for each community there. The plan for Graham and Ann is complete, ready for adoption by council. St. Andrews zoning bylaw municipal plan consultation and adoption phases. And drafts are subject to mention by the council, so that process is we're still going through that process. And planning fees and building bylaw have been adopted by Fundy Shores. You see the numbers there. So year to date, this is just the year to date, but we have 33 building permits, 31 development subdivision approvals, and the permits translate to $5.5 million of construction value. Dwelling units, that'll mean about 10. That's not bad for January. So in enforcement, so we're exploring some opportunities to expand the dangerous or unsightly premises enforcement services that we can provide, and we can do this across the region. And the goal of that is to provide better support to councils when they're dealing with dangerous and unsightly properties. And as we said, and you can make this a discussion point if you want or not. We can look at this later, but this is looking at a much fuller program where the Service Commission can actually step in and take care of a lot more, and including up to and including the funding of demolition activities, because all that money is recoverable anyway from the provincial government. So that's something that we're going to explore more. We're working on a potential, like a draft policy that we're going to present to this board at some point. We've launched 10 enforcement files in 2026, and in total, since we started doing this, 298 have been brought into compliance or had the file closed. And we are doing some foundational work with some GIS mapping, asset management, and we're looking at some potential region-wide support of your asset management initiative, so that we can all have one kind of cohesive place for all your infrastructure mapped. Up there on track. Good meet. That seems to be the sum total of the report, Mr. Chair.
Question or comment?
Question.
No, go ahead.
Just to go back to the dangerous unsightly, that was just going back to we're realigning and doing things better. Still no extra cost to them.
No, and
Just
that
just because we're online, I just want to be clear it's what we talked
yeah,
about.
no, in fact, what we're working on, it hasn't really been done elsewhere, but it's a way that we can you identifies the properties to us, we do the inspections, we give you a report, and ultimately if the council says yes, this one is for demolition, that would be the end of what you need to do as a council, and we take care of it from there. Make sure it's disposed of properly, make sure we do the contracting part of it, so we handle the front end costs of doing all that, because all that stuff is recoverable anyway. And then there's our charges for doing so. This will end up being a self-sustaining piece of business. So there's no actual cost to members, except for the initial part where I got to have some kind of a float of money to work with to depending on how far we want to go into it. That's the concept.
I think myself personally is a good thing for the communities. It takes the burden off most of your CEOs, because it's a lot of work they have to do that. If you guys can do the service and the financial part too, right? Have financial burden on each of the communities to fund those. Even though we do get the money back, you still have to fund that money for probably up to half a year before you get any money back. So if the Service Commission could do that service, we probably get a lot more properties done, because right now we're limited to what we can afford to do.
Oh, I think it's a good idea, and I know we spoke about it, so I just figured we were live tonight, and a good time to explain it a little more in depth for everybody to make sure we're still on the same page.
Yeah,
So,
there's definitely some more decisions to be made about how much we want to do and how far we want to go. Like, do we want to go after it aggressively for 2 or 3 years? Do we want to, a steady, like, I don't know, there's a lot more discussion to be had. It would be up to this board to determine how that goes, but it's something we can certainly do internally.
I think conceptually, it's a great idea. Something that the board should really look at and parse out. And then once we get the final concept put together, then we can vote on it and put it together. But I think it's, I'm like you guys, I think it's a great idea.
I mean, ultimately, it's always comes down to your council has the final decision on
That's correct.
which properties get that. The service commission doesn't have that say. Is the local council. So if the councilors are watching tonight, they know that power is not being taken away from them. It's still done at the local level. But I think by
do all the dirty work.
exactly, and by doing this service, I think a lot more could be done in the area. A lot more could be cleaned up in a year.
And it's more cost effective for the council too, because we're having the float initially, but you're covering, the board's covering the cost of that until it goes through the process, so it kind of frees our money up, so to speak, until we get it done. So I think it's a win-win.
Am I the only one that hasn't got that bylaw?
We don't have the full draft of it yet, and yeah, we were where we were sort of discussing this in committee, but that's the idea is that your council will identify some properties that may or may not be.
We haven't got the bylaw to do that, is what I'm saying.
We can help you with that.
They wouldn't vote for it, we tried.
Oh,
So what
for your
happens now,
village,
like
that's
what will happen with us?
probably similar to Jim.
Ours is under provincial regulation.
Yeah, so with rural district, we looked at that, and the minister can't appoint us to do this.
Okay.
So that was one of the
So
things.
that's probably the same thing then, that.
No,
No.
his council they'd have to pass a bylaw to do it, but yeah.
So my question or comment is, or maybe you can help me out or help us all out. So where funding has signed up for planning fees and building, does that help the pool? And so does everyone's costs get adjusted through that addition? Like more people, am I reading that right? If they're gonna, you got another municipality you're servicing, right? So does that bring the other
Yes.
people's numbers down?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I figured. I just wanted to say it so people understood that more of us are involved, the better it
Yes,
is for
yeah,
all of us.
that's exactly right.
Yeah, okay,
The more people are in the pool,
Yeah.
the more efficiency we can get.
yeah, 100%. Okay, I kind of knew the answer, but I want to make sure everyone heard it because it is important.
Any other questions or comments on that? Now move ahead to the regional economic and workforce development.
Okay, so our job openings in the region hit a high of 237 this month. There still seems to be a problem of getting qualified applicants for jobs. So that's something that there's more work to do there, but that's one area of concentration for our economic development folks. There's another free HR training session coming up, 11th at the Grassland Center. The Spring Regional Employment Fair is scheduled for April 14th. Two different things, right? And they're going to be presenting an overview of the regional business and employer support along with PHRS, OMB, Working MB, and St. Andrews Chamber of Commerce on March 12th. In investment readiness, they're still doing some more work at Huntsman Marine to talk. There's a marketing feasibility study going on there. Should be done in the spring. There's going to be a public open house to learn more about that development in April. And business support, a lot of work has been done around the Southwest Business Summit. And, the tickets are now on sale, selling quickly from what I understand, because Arlene Dickinson is the keynote speaker this year. And there is a committee meeting scheduled for April 8th is the next Economic Development Committee meeting. OMB, Working MB are going to be there to provide update on programming for the 26-27 budgets, which should be interesting considering the position that province is in currently.
For you, Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
So your very first line, you know, there's a lot of employment opportunities and we're all seeing the fact that it is hard to find. Now, should we collectively be pushing let's help out our trade school in St. Andrews, make sure that's filled up and there's anything they can do to promote and fund and get more trades people going or training for certain specialties.
That's exactly one of the initiatives, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, but should we be pushing it because we're all struggling? You know, it's very challenging.
It may be something that we'll look at doing sort of a scan of and she's done this before already. And we already have some data there, but we should make maybe a more public scan of gaps and things that we're missing, so we know once you have you need data in order to get anything done. So and I know that she had a study started last year anyway on the whole state of where we are. It's about skills, but it's not all about certificates and things either.
Well, you know, some you don't need certificates, you just need some training just to get them, some people just lack the training to be able to do the jobs that are available. And I mean, I think I don't know if it was here, we talked about even building off the trade school in St. Andrews to like some satellite schools throughout our communities for some training, but.
Just related to this, we know the number of jobs that are available. Do we know the unemployment rate that currently occurs within our region? So what's the rate of unemployed compared to the number of jobs?
She might know, I don't.
Okay,
Put it that way.
but it would be, it's a key factor.
That's a good question.
Something I can find out anyway.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I think I can find out.
Okay, if there's no other questions, regional community development.
We are a little bit. Oh yeah, I don't have a report for community development this month because I am short-staffed in community development this month.
That brings us to regional tourism.
Well, our tourism committee met.
Actually, Kara's on that.
Kara's on that. Twice actually, January 20th and February 17th. The January 20th meeting didn't happen. I didn't have a report ready for the last board meeting for that. So a lot of work around the tourism symposium, which is now deemed the Southwest Tourism Summit to play off the success of the Southwest Business Summit. Large part of the work at the committee has been done on planning and making sure that's happening. That will take place March 28th at Dominion Hill. There are tickets available for that now online, and the tickets are a lower cost, but the proceeds from this will go to food bank support. There's an opportunity for vendors to promote themselves at the summit, so they might have like a small table or like a banner, that type of thing. So if you think of service providers for tourism operators, that could be like cleaning companies and people like that might want to market to folks that have Airbnbs or hotels or anything like that. I think I know who the keynote speaker is going to be, but I can't say it yet because it hasn't been completely nailed down. There was two possibilities. I was talking with Stephen today about that. There is a session that we are trying to get done for customer service. We talked about skills in the workplace, and tourism being a big part of our economy here. So the general thought was that better customer service skills would translate to, would just be a very good benefit. So I think he's got, and I can't say who it is, but it's a really good asset for this customer service training to be available there. Yeah, tickets are on sale now. And other stuff that we have talked about. He's been looking into the option of something called Driftscape. Driftscape is, it's an app and an online sort of directory of businesses, but it incorporates, and we talked about this before, if you're location based and it's on your phone, well, it'll tell you. And it also has things like augmented reality. So let's say you're on downtown, or if you're on Main Street in St. Andrews, or you're in Main Street anywhere here, actually, you put up your phone, there's a camera that shows you the street you're on, but then on the camera, it'll label out, the walk goes this way, you know, that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's been successfully used by Riverview, the Friends of Fundy, so the Fundy Trail. It's a Canadian thing. There's a couple of other places, and Steven's been talking to them about what the invitation looks like, and it's gone quite well. So I would look forward to that becoming sooner rather than later. We had a discussion around the purchase and installation of tower viewers. Tower viewers being those sort of stationary binocular things to look around. In a couple of key locations, he found a good supplier for these things. So we're talking about potential locations like it could be St. Croix Island, right? That kind of thing. It could be somebody mentioned Greens Point, maybe. It could be New River Beach. I mentioned, and I think I really like to see one on the stern of the Adventure. Because,
Basically, would have been entertaining.
well,
The fights over the whale watching would be epic.
well, yeah, exactly. Well, that's the problem. Somebody will say whale, and everybody will plant their fight over it.
On the same side of the boat. And
So we did note that on our current tourism website, there are some businesses missing, so we're going to come up with a plan to kind of sort that out. And speaking of the tourism website, we're looking at plans to, the content we have on the website is good, but the website management is absolutely atrocious and terrible and difficult to deal with. So we're looking at a fix for that, and it's sort of a new version of it, but the good part is we don't have to get any new content. We can use what we've got. So it's not going to be that big of a deal. And we also talked about development of an actual physical visitor guide, like a book, as well as the map, and getting the map of all the tourism installations in the region. I'm taking that note from Newfoundland Labrador. Does a really good job of that, and they have a really good book and map and stuff they give you. So we're not Newfoundland, we're not that big, but anyway. So there's a lot of activity at the tourism committee, and good to see.
Questions or comments? The Driftscape app. Is there a cost to that, or
Oh yeah, there's a call.
I'm not up on all this technology stuff.
It's not horrible.
Is it something that we have to build ourselves, like put all the stuff into it? Or is it
Well,
already there?
Yes, like the whole framework and everything is, you know, you get that. And we do have to put the content in. However, a lot of that can be sped up with AI. So AI can kind of pre-populate everything. Then we kind of go through and vet to make sure it's actually correct, legitimate.
Yeah. Modern technology, I can't keep up with it.
I've seen a couple of demos of it. It's a really easy to use
Sounds like a
thing,
modern thing.
but
get a free trial.
Yeah, really. I think it's quite exciting what they can do today.
Yes.
That brings us to the CEO report.
this is in your package, the typical graph that I always do. Nothing out of the ordinary in our solid waste totals. The average totals were pretty much where we were last year. Planning files, I've reported on what you have year to date for the building permits, and so this just kind of breaks down in more detail. Sign permits, but some zoning confirmations, some subdivisions, things like that. Speaking of subdivision, there is an application heard about this today for it's another subdivision of a lot. And the purpose is to install another new cell tower in Warren Station.
Excellent.
In that big dead spot.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, so hasn't gone through.
You're gonna approve that.
Well, now that we've changed that process.
Yeah.
And it's just handled here, we can handle that stuff immediately. It doesn't sit on somebody's desk for months.
That's right. Yeah.
So, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, that's an easy one.
Good idea. Thank you.
You don't know how much you depend on one of them until you don't have it.
I know.
I mean, you imagine breaking down the whole,
In the area where you need the help. Houses.
people don't dress like they should or have the stuff with them anymore like they
No.
used to,
No.
when they thought that might happen.
That's true.
Important.
Sorry about that.
See, so.
You got a dog?
That's a big mouse.
So moving on, our website statistics are there. You'll see an uptick in January. I'm not sure, and I'm gonna kind of keep track of this. But the uptick is probably one of two things. It's a bunch of the stuff that Steven's been doing in our communications. I don't know if you followed his stuff online that he's been putting out, the videos and the content and all that kind of stuff. But the other part of that could be just that it's January and people are looking for new recycling calendars. So entirely possible.
We'll say it's Steve.
So in communications, like I was just alluding to, there's been a lot of new content on socials. What he's doing is he's building the community and the audience, which is what you need to do in social in order to get that traction later. If you can't just wait and build and make it, an amazing video, put it out there, hopefully somebody sees it. You've got to build the momentum before that. So he's there, but also some of the things that he's doing are they transfer to tourism, but they also transfer to just promotion of the area kind of thing. Our website, we have a new website. It's ready to go live imminently. I think we're done. I just have to swap over the domain name and make sure a couple things happen. It's not a big departure from what we had, but again, the underlying technology is much, much better than what we had. It's going to be much easier to manage. And I think the document library is probably the biggest improvement. And the document library is actually one of the most important parts of our website, because that's where we host a lot of documents, information, all of our board minutes, all that kind of stuff, as well as, any policies and all that kind of stuff. And, this is much better. As far as year end goes, I think the hours down at this point are normal year end activities. The auditors have been here, did their thing for a couple of days, and we'll see that nothing out of the ordinary has been brought to my attention. But we'll see the statements when we normally do, but it'll probably be end of March, early April when I see them, and that will go with the annual report. Been doing a little bit of work on pre-election activities for municipal elections, and talked to a couple of CAOs about maybe some education sessions and where we can help out there, and there might be a couple of other initiatives that we take just to get some education stuff out there. And I see today that UMNV is also doing the same thing. So we don't want to duplicate what they're doing, but we do want to enhance what they're doing. So the more and better information we can get out before election for people that are considering running, better off going to be. For instance, if I do end up with new mayors around the state, it would be good that they understood they also have another part-time job that goes with being mayor, what that entails and what their responsibilities are, all that kind of thing. So I'm putting that out, and that'll be over the next month. In the month of March, you will see some stuff from us about pre-election stuff, and then there's going to be, after the election and after people are sworn in, then there's going to be orientation. So that's when we'll handle the orientation for board members here. We'll do that in Regional Service Commission, but then I'm sure your municipalities are going to also have some kind of orientation for any newly elected councillors. And if there's any if you want us, or you want me to be at any of that kind of orientation, I will make myself available.
So, yeah, we talked about doing some training or whatever if it was mandated, and but now they're saying it's gonna be optional. Can we still do that? Can we still do that through the RSC?
Sure.
I still think it's a good idea, but I think it's a good idea if we'll say you or somebody from here can come. But it'd be hard if we'll say they held it in even St. John, it's gonna be a pain for people from home or Grand Inn to go, you know?
Oh, yeah, no, we wouldn't do that. I was considering.
I just meant if they did it and said we couldn't do it
Oh.
here, that's what I meant, but where it's optional, I still think it's a good idea. I still think if we had something in-house here that we'll say you or somebody could come to Camp Valo or Grand Inn and go through it, I think it'd be worth doing, even for us guys who's been there a while.
It would have been absolutely amazing for us because our council was 90% new and we came in COVID. We had no training, we had no support. It was brutal the first few years.
I didn't even know I was on the board of the RSC until I was told to come one time. Then I didn't understand it for a few months.
What am I doing?
Not sure I understand it now, but a little better.
It takes some time.
Yeah,
At least to show up though.
No, I think it makes a big difference if right from the start, we can get some good orientation for everybody,
Yeah.
I can't, I can help out and I can facilitate, and I can do stuff to help councils about council training and things like that, but that really should be, and UMMB is looking into a bunch of things for that too, so I'll work with them, and whatever the British government has available.
UMB does training every election time.
Yeah.
But the problem is not everyone goes to it.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's optional, and optional is just not working.
No, it should be required, especially for new councilors that have never served. It's there's so much procedure to get wrapped around that it takes years to finally get there.
So how does that usually work, the orientation, like with you guys? You've been here for a while and you've been here for a while. Do you guys do that, your CAO, or do you do it, or?
We usually bring somebody in,
Okay.
I think it's actually, we shared, we teamed out at St. Andrews there 1 year and then did some training.
We had that guy that was running the island, done very little, really. I mean, he didn't do much.
But UMMB, I think, is gonna step up and do a lot more than just, preparing you for the media and all the other stuff they've been doing. They're gonna start doing some more. It's on their agenda to do. But again, not everyone goes to those, you can only have a couple councilors show up.
But I think if you go like through UMMB, if it's like at their convention, then it could be mandatory if you're there. I just find it's hard to make it mandatory when we all got other jobs and some of us work shift work or out on a boat. It's hard to say, well, on this date, you gotta be there because you're now, and it's like, well, then I'll just not even bother.
I have a job that pays
Yeah,
for my
that's-
living.
Yeah.
The job, so that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had to, every one of them, they start Friday morning. I take Fridays off, vacation or whatever I had to do to be able to get there. That was their life. That's what you're getting into.
I considered if it's a situation where you can't be there in person in front of them, a webinar format is not a bad idea. So if you have a panel of people, and then people can attend the webinar because that's easy to do, and you don't even appear on screen unless you want to, unless you put your hand up. That might be a possibility.
So could be doing another job.
Well, I haven't done that. I've been going into ambulance calls and have to shut you guys off. I think I've done that before. I've been on recording, like, I
Gotta go.
why is the siren blaring in the background?
I think also training should be done halfway through the mandate as well too. Because what you take in for the first, say you do it a weekend, you're not gonna be able to take it all in. And there's gonna be some instances during the first 2 years that maybe part of that was never covered. So it's good to have extra training. I've been doing it for 19 years and I'm still learning. And I think if anybody says they know it all, that's time to get out of it. Really.
Things
Yeah.
change too fast to know it all.
Exactly.
Like every business, right? That brings us to financials.
Oops, I've given you a comparative income statement, which is a summary of the actual comparative income statement, several pages long. So this is the summary of some of the totals. I do want to draw your attention to the fact that it says net income of negative $18,000. Really what's happened there is there's income that I don't have realized here in this statement yet, because this was the January statement. There's some like quarterly payments that we get from RSSF and things like that that are not reflected here, and that's why it's looking like we're losing money. We're not. In fact, I think if I had gotten a couple of those payments, we'd be in a pretty healthy surplus. There's also a lot of the first of the year, there's always a lot of front end loaded costs for stuff. So our budget's set for 2026. So there might be I think we're looking at a truck we're buying, be one thing. Some of the costs are up front for the business summit that we get back later on. Arlene Dickinson is not cheap. just saying. So anyway, all I'm saying here is it's not a concern. You can see I've got the actual where we are, the budget. What if I divided out our annual budget by 12, and that's all that is. That's not a January budget, that's our annual budget divided by 12, which are two different things.
Any questions? Now we'll go ahead to questions and answers.
Mr. Chair.
Motion for adjournment. Catch it. I'm gonna catch it.
Nice seeing you, Kara.
Nice seeing you all.
Because they have somebody good.